Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Boss Babe Blog Podcast. I am your host, KeTohn, and today we have our amazing guest joining us from Travel with MJ, Miriam Jackson. Welcome, MJ.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm excited to have this conversation. I feel like a lot of people need to hear a couple of reminders and potentially some tips on how to get through this phase of telling people no. So
Yeah,
I'm excited.
let's
Um,
get into it.
Yes, let's get into it. So, for any of you that don't know, bossbabeblog.com is a small business directory where we promote, support, and advertise small businesses so that shoppers can go find them. What you can look forward to is our coupon booklet that we will have available for $0. It is a digital coupon booklet. You go to our website, add it to your cart, and then you can have that placed in your cart emailed to you so you can have coupons for all the businesses that may have a special coupon code through me or through Boss Babe Blog that you can check out. So now that I shared that quick little update, let's have our conversation. Today's episode is called How Do I Say No in Professional? So today we're going to answer the question, how can you say no professionally? How do you say no professionally? And how can you say no peacefully or in a healthy way to your loved ones? So kind of talking about saying no in a professional business setting and, with partners, potential partners, things like that, versus saying no with friends, family members, romantic partners. It's a conversation that isn't had enough. And I think that we usually have one of the two things. We have someone who feels like they have to sacrifice everything and, make themselves uncomfortable and devalue their own worth to support someone else. Or you have people who feel like everything has to be harsh, everything has to be aggressive, and it doesn't have to be. And when you stop giving in to that people's needs to get a reaction out of you, you realize that you can just say no and move on with peace. And so I wanted everybody to give their perspective. So if you have a perspective or an example that you want to share in the comments, you are most welcome to do that. And I'm going to share one way that I would professionally say no, and then I'm going to hand it over to MJ so she can share a way that she would professionally say no. It could be one or two ways, and then we'll move into the personal side of it after. So, for me personally, when it comes to professionally saying no, I usually tend to lean into appreciation and gratitude first, because a lot of times people remember you based off of the energy that you give them. So, if you have a positive attitude and energy, even when you're not getting something from them or maybe not something that you would deem valuable, they tend to remember that. And if there's another opportunity where they want to give you something that's of value to you or refer you to someone else, you're going to be one of the first people they think about. And so I usually try to just lean into appreciation and gratitude. Thank you so much for considering me. Thank you so much for taking the time to send out a message. Thank you. I appreciate you for reaching out. And then just move into the truth. A lot of times it's okay to just say, this isn't something right now that I think is feasible based off of my budget. However, it sounds amazing and I see the value in it. So I'll definitely keep your contact information. And when I'm able to add this to my business budget, I would love to sign up. Or, this isn't something that I see being beneficial for me right now, as I'm currently looking for this specifically, and all of my energy is going into that. However, I would love to keep your contact information because maybe down the line my mind could change, or I might know someone who might see this as something valuable that could really help them. So I just always keep an open mindset, even when saying no in business, because it could be something that later on down the line I say, man, I think I want to use that. And just in the moment, it doesn't seem to be something that is going to suit my needs. Or my needs might change. Maybe in the beginning, I didn't need any partnerships. I wasn't looking for partnerships. But then towards the end of, my transitioning stage, I realized I'm ready for some partnerships. Now I can go back to those connections. So the tip and advice that I would give is to be professional. You're not speaking to someone who's your friend. You're speaking to a business professional who does not know you. So it's okay to add personality, but make sure that you're being very clear in the tone that you're trying to send to them. Because you might say to your friend, girl, no, I do not need that. And your friend isn't going to take that as an insult. She's not looking at you crazy. But to a business professional, they're like, okay, that's a bit much. You don't know who it is you're speaking with. So I say keep it neutral, leave emotions out of it, lean into that appreciation, stay proactive and positive, and just tell them exactly the reason for why, or just say no thank you and then keep it moving. I've had times where I genuinely loved it but I couldn't do it, or I genuinely didn't see any value in it but I still proceeded professionally, because those people ended up sending me referrals based off of the interactions that we had, and other people went and shopped with me through them. So I like to put that out there. Sometimes a mistake that business owners make is they come off a little aggressive or negative because they don't see the value in it for them at that moment, and they don't always treat people the way that they would treat them if they had something in front of them that was extremely valuable to them. So my advice would be to speak to each person as if they have something extremely valuable to you, even if they don't. And don't be afraid to be clear on what it is that you're seeking when you're explaining why this isn't an opportunity that you can take advantage of. So that's one option. And then the last thing I would add to that is just that sometimes less is more. You don't have to over explain. So if someone reaches out to you and maybe they say, hey, I want to partner with you, and you had a negative experience with them, you can share why, but you don't have to share why. You can simply just say, thank you so much for considering me. I really appreciate that. I'll definitely think on it and I'll come back to you if I'm interested. And then just keep it moving. Everything doesn't have to be negative. And I think that that applies in both areas of your life. So, what example do you have, MJ, on how somebody might be able to say no professionally?
Oh, so the last couple of minutes, I've been thinking about different ways that I would say no. And I'm leaning more towards the travel professional client standpoint. Um, One of the biggest things that I've had to start leaning on is my calendar, is my availability, and making sure that that people are contacting me, or people are, booking consultations with me during my available hours. So when a client says, hey, can I do XYZ? I'm so sorry. Here's my calendar. Let's get you set up for a consultation, where we can discuss this further. One of the biggest things that I'm trying to do myself is stop working out of the inboxes. I have been working on this for a while. So I've had to lean on my calendar and my availability. If it's outside my availability, which means you cannot book that time that you're asking me this information, hey, let's schedule a consultation during the time that I'm available and I can give you my full and undivided attention. It's not quite a no, it's a redirection. Um, Now, in the case where I have to just say no, it's one of those things. It's just like, I'm sorry, but unfortunately, this is not. This is outside of what my needs are, outside of my budget. Because I'm going to be completely honest with you, this is a small business over here, and I have to count my coins. So if it doesn't align, I have to say I'm so sorry. I'd love to keep your information just in case. Um, you know, this opportunity does come back around and I am better financially able to do it. But at this moment, it's not something that I can do. Um, I really don't like saying the word no because I know my tone. The word no might come off a little harsh because I'm so direct. So I have to use words that still say no, but in a way that I'm not biting at people, because um, some people have told me that my tone is very much direct, and it is. But I don't want to be too direct to the point where um, I'm losing clientele, losing customers. So I've just found to lean on your availability and try not to caveat out of your availability, because the minute that you do that, then that person may feel that they can do that all the time. And then once you start setting that precedent, it's hard for you to break it. So we have to remain professional. Now that's on the client travel professional side. Now, business owner to business owner, if somebody said, "Hey, I would like to do XYZ again." It's not really something that I can see doing at the moment due to funds. But I'd love to get your information. Love to see where this goes. Love to follow you on social media. See, keep up with you. And then when the time is right for me, I would love to reach out to you. Um, or if I'm inquiring about pricing, I'm like, hey, this is not me ready to book anything. This is me inquiring about pricing. What is your price on this? It's just kind of how you say it to people,
Mm-hmm.
um, to where, excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
to where they can either respect what you're saying, but at minimum, they can understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, yeah, definitely can agree with that. I think being a lot of times people are shunned, I would say, with being direct. They don't want you to be too direct, too straight to the point. But I would even argue that people, excuse me, appreciate when you are direct, because a lot of times people don't have all the time in the world, and you spend all this time dancing around to finally give them the truth or the answer that they would have loved to hear. It's like we could have saved so much more time. So I appreciate someone being direct. I don't feel like you don't have to be aggressive when you're being direct. You don't have to be, you can be considerate. You can be thoughtful in the message that you're trying to portray and thoughtful of your tone, but you can still be direct. And I think a lot of people would really appreciate that, because in my experience, I've had business owners where they just kind of tiptoe on things. And by the time you finish tiptoeing, you've lost the sale, or you've lost the client or the potential lead, because they kind of just got tired of trying to figure out what the heck you're talking about, or, if it's real. No one wants to do a whole bunch of research or have to go through too many hoops just to receive something, and they don't even know you. They don't even know if you're legitimate.
Right.
So, so that's something too that I would even say to keep in mind, like when you're being told, when business owners or just as a person, you're being told about being direct, be direct. Just, still think about your tone, think about your delivery, but continue being direct, because a lot of times people appreciate a person who knows exactly why they're here and what they're here to provide, and what they're looking for in return. So thank you for sharing that, MJ. And I like the fact that you brought up two examples, one way when it comes to clients and one way when it comes to dealing with peers. It can be a hard thing to balance sometimes, but you have to be able to tell people no quicker, so that you can move on faster. And the same, it goes both ways. You have to be able to ask people if they would want your services quicker, so you can find out if they're interested or not, so they can give you a no quicker. And it's the same thing when it comes to communication. The quicker you let someone know that you are not interested, or this may not be the route for you, or maybe you guys can find a different alternative, the quicker you can get something, proactive out of it.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it. Let's transition into the personal side of things, saying no to friends, family members, romantic partners, exes, things like that. So something you said earlier about checking your availability and making sure that people are booking within the hours that you are available, it kind of resonates with the tip that I'm going to share when it comes to saying no on a personal level. And that is checking your commitments and making sure that you're actually able to commit to this. Asking, what is it that someone is asking from me? What are you needing from me? So I can decide on whether or not I can give this and commit to it, or if I'm going to be overcommitting and then feeling bad because I'm all over the place trying to please you, trying to please myself, trying to help other people too. So
Hmm.
that was something that I was going to give advice to, for people that have issues with saying no to friends, family, and personal life. And another piece of advice that I'm going to give is don't act instantly. Sometimes take a moment to decide on what it is that's being asked of you, even if that means you come back to it. Even if even if you feel like you're going to say no, I would say do that. And the reason why, because sometimes you think you're going to say no, or you feel like you are, but then when you have some time to sit on it, you're like, you know what? I can see the benefit of this. And you can come into it with a great mindset, and be ready to get something productive from it. So
Hmm.
when that family member comes to you and says, hey, you think you could drop off my friend at this shop? Let me get back to you and I'll let you know. Go and check your own schedule. See how much is that going to take out of you. Are you going to feel like driving them and then picking them up? Is it required for you to do that? These are things that you have to ask yourself. And then if you feel like, no, I can't, then you can go back to them and you can say, I'm sorry, I won't be able to do it, but I hope that you find somebody who can. Just as simple as that. Because I've had moments where I thought the answer was absolutely not. You know, I had got to keep it clean because we're streaming. But I've had times when I know, like in my heart, in my soul, in my heart of hearts, that I'm about to tell this person, no, I can't do jack for you. But I said, don't act instantly. I said, I'll let you know and I'll get back to you. And then with time and reflection, I decided to go ahead and do that for them because there was something beneficial. Either, you know, I felt like this is a great opportunity for us to bond, or this is a great opportunity for me to see if this is salvageable. This is a great opportunity for me to connect with other family members, even though we might not be in the best place. And so by sitting and doing that, I allow myself to reflect and really change my decisions. So that's my personal advice. Number one, check your commitments. And then if you have to say no, you have to say no. And number two, don't act instantly. Take a break and come back to it. And so if we're getting back to the exact question that I'm asking, or that we're asking, which is how do you say no to people? Me personally, I usually just say no. When it comes to friends and family, I just say I can't do it. Like I wish I could, but I can't. Or if they're asking me, they're getting ready to ask me, I'll tell them I'll do it if I can. I'll do the best I can. And if I can, I just can't do it. And I've had times when people have tried to guilt trip me or, keep going. And if I can't do it, I just can't do it. I've offered things before. Like, for example, I've had a person who asked me to do something for them and I wanted to do it, but I didn't have the time to do it because on my list of things to do, I have multiple projects that are due for my clients that I have to get on top of and get done early. So if I stop doing what I'm working on, I'm going to have to sacrifice making sure that my projects come out with great quality and smoothly to go and help this person. And I couldn't afford to do it, like time wise, financially wise, I couldn't afford to do it. And so I offered that the person help me with what I need to get taken care of. You can go run some of those deliveries. You can go ship out some of the products too. You could send out these emails. I offered they do that. And then I can help them. We can help each other. They declined. And so did I. So kind of like what we said earlier, keep an open mind. See if they're able to help you. You guys can help each other, collaborate, because you don't have to do everything alone. But if it's just not possible, it's just not possible. Hey, I'm sorry. I wish I could, but I can't. But I hope that everything goes well. And if I'm met with pushback or aggression, I usually just leave it at that and keep it moving. I don't even acknowledge it. I kind of treat it like a temper tantrum and I just move on. Or I tell them I'm leaving the situation. I've had times where I had to tell someone this is becoming stressful. I'm going to leave and we can come back and talk about it again later when we're in a good place, if you would like to. And sometimes they accept it and sometimes they just keep going. Like I've had people who just keep going after I've already said no. You're still going, waiting, trying to pull something out of me because you want me to be upset or irritated with you. And I'm trying to defuse because I don't want my stress levels up there. So I'm so sorry. I have to let you go. Maybe we can talk about it later, but if not, that's okay too. I'm leaving. And I leave. So what about you, MJ?
So with family and friends, I have to agree with you on one thing. I'm way more, my language is colorful when I'm speaking to certain family and friends. It's way more colorful. Can't say it here for the purposes of this podcast, but just know it's more colorful. But one of the non-colorful ways that I have learned to say no is, I would say, going back to what you said, check your commitments. I would look at what I have going on that week or that day. And if it just looks like it's going to be too much for me, I would just have to say no. Or if I've already committed to it and I can back out, like, hey, I'm so sorry, but I have to cancel this. I have not gotten enough sleep and I don't think people want to deal with me. And I haven't had sleep. I'm not the person that you want to deal with when I am sleepy and when I am hungry. Those two factors will turn me from, Snow White over here, nice and gentle, to Cruella de Vil. Not the person that you want to deal with. So if I'm sleepy and I'm hungry, it's an automatic no. It's just an automatic no. Because I know my temperament when I'm in those situations. When my stomach start to growling, or when I'm getting sleepy and I'm trying to hold my yawns back, um, I don't need to be around people, because if something is said the wrong way to me and I'm sleepy and I'm hungry, I might have to apologize for what I said the day before because I was sleepy and I was hungry. So, in order for me to eliminate that, let me just respectfully decline this invite. Let me go find something to eat first, and then I can come back and address your question. Or let me go get some sleep first, and then I can come back and address your question with me being sane and in my right mind. Um, y'all probably thinking, really, sleepy and hungry? If you have been around me and I am
Hunger and sleep
sleepy,
will do a
and
lot to a person.
yeah, if you have been around me and I am sleepy and hungry and crampy, sleepy, hungry, and crampy.
I listen, I read somewhere that being sleepy is the equivalent to being under the influence. And if that's the case, that means the filter that you thought you had, it's gone.
It's
And I
gone.
can attest to that. Like when you're just too tired, you're just like, I don't even feel like pretend. I can't. Whatever it is that I need to say is
I
just
can't
coming
fake
out,
the funk with you.
you
I
know?
can't smile in your face and kiki and then dog you out behind your back. I'd much rather tell you, hey, I am a walking Snickers commercial right now. I am not myself when I'm hungry. Can't do it. Can't do it. And when my stomach started growling, that's my timer. That's my timer. It's got about 30 minutes. I need to go find something to eat, or I need to be in the process of eating before I start getting angry. So to go back to how to say no, um, depending on the situation, I would have to bow out immediately, especially from sleepy, hungry, and crampy. I just have to, because I know me. But in other situations where I'm not sleepy, hungry, and crampy, I have to look at my calendar and my schedule, because with a full time demanding job, a part time job, and businesses, I get tired, and I might not be physically tired, but I might need a day where I'm not doing anything. So I'm going to take that day and not do anything, so that when I do come back to my clients, to my family, to my friends, I'm at 100%. Because if I say yes to something and I know I'm not 100%, I'm not giving it my all.
Yeah.
So I have to say no in terms of that, because it's important. It's me being nice and willing to have a conversation with you, or me willing to bite your head off because I'm sleepy, hungry, and cranky. Don't want to do that. Don't want to do it.
So how do you deal with when you get pushback, when you're trying to communicate to a family member or a loved one that I'm telling you no because this, or that? How do you deal with the pushback when people say, passive aggressive things, or when they, oh, please, you can't, are you sure? Or they keep saying things to kind of make you feel bad, like, oh, if only I had somebody who could do this. How do you deal with that pushback in the process of saying no?
So to the person that's saying, "Are you sure?" Yes, I'm sure. To the person who is trying to make me feel bad about taking time for myself, I'm so sorry that I could not be that person for you. Um, I still can't do it. But for anybody who's, I still can't do it. The guilt trip really doesn't work on me anymore. Like it used to work on me about a decade ago. Younger MJ probably would have felt bad and like, you know what? I think I can do it. MJ of today,
Yeah.
because I know my temperament. I
Hmm.
didn't know my temperament as a 20 something year old. As a 30 something year old, I know me. And I
Hmm.
know not to put myself in certain situations, especially when I know that it's going to bring out the worst in me. So for those who are trying to give me, the uh what's the word I'm looking for? The silent treatment, or the guiltiness, or the whatever you're deciding to do with me, it's just not going to work. And hope and pray that I don't hang up on you.
Yeah, it actually is a form of emotional, in my opinion, it's a form of emotional manipulation, because you
Yeah, they start with that. It's gonna
by
be okay,
treating
girl. So
me
yeah,
one
I got to
way,
go.
you're going to get something different. And
Right.
that's not going to happen. If I told you I can't do it. So you telling me, oh, I just wish that you could, or oh, I wish I had that special someone. Well, that doesn't change the fact that I still can't do it. and I really wish I could, but I can't. So where do we go from here now? Is there
Right.
anything that I can do for you that doesn't require me to step outside of my availability or capability? Like, you want me to ask someone else that, do you have somebody that's local? Is there someone close? What can I do that's not on this list? Because I just told you I can't do what's on this list. So
Right.
another one. So I definitely love the fact that you talked about that. That the whole guilt trip thing. I'm still not available.
I'm still not available.
Yeah. And what about with so that's kind of, I would say that's all personal relationships, like telling people no. What about on the romantic side of things, having a partner? And the reason why I kind of separated is because depending on if you live with that partner and depending on the level of that you're at with that partner, you sometimes feel an obligation to do more for that partner outside of everybody else because they're like your immediate family. So, how does that conversation look when you're giving them a no and you're setting those boundaries?
I think that it would look, excuse me,
Mhm.
that conversation would have had to have happened a long while ago in the getting to know you phase. That I may not say no very often, but when I do say no, I actually mean it. Um, to a romantic partner, if I'm telling a romantic partner no, it's not just because I don't feel like it. It's literally something wrong. And I would hope and pray that my romantic partner would see, hey, you don't look good, or hey, you look sleepy, and allow me the time to rest and recuperate so that I can give you the best of me. I can't give you the best of me if I'm sleepy, hungry, or cranky. But my romantic partner would have seen me in sleepy, hunger, and crankiness. That you would not try me to say, oh, are you sure?
You would hope, right?
I would hope.
Sometimes emotional awareness is not a skill that's not a skill I feel is really taught in school. It maybe it's changed, but for a lot of people, emotional awareness is not something that's taught. Like, hey, I'm noticing that she is not the same as she normally is. Maybe I should just ask, are you tired? Would you like to do this? It's like you can be changing right in front of them and they just keep going. And I'm not justifying not communicating, like people should be able to read your mind because that's not the same. But if you can clearly see that someone is tired, lagging, a little slower than what they normally are, something in you should want to, try to alleviate. So I definitely, you would hope that they would do that. But I do agree
You
with
would hope, but at the same time, it is a different thing when you're dealing with a romantic partner, and I think it also depends on if that romantic partner is living with you
you.
versus if they're not living with you.
Yeah,
If
that's what
they're
I was
not living
thinking.
with you, then yes, you would have to communicate these things, explicitly communicate these things, not just beat around the bush and say, "Oh, no." You would need to explicitly communicate what's going on. But if that romantic partner lives with you, has seen you high, low, up, down, hungry, tired, not cranky versus cranky, and they can't figure out that I'm actually telling you no,
Mm,
we might we
something ain't
might
right.
might have to go and we might have to have another conversation. Hey, I don't usually say no often, but when I do say no, there's a reason.
So there's something you said that I want to kind of end the discussion on before we go into our business. And that was about this conversation needing to have taken place well before the relationship, like during the get to know you phases. And I think that that's a really great idea for business professionals as well, with their clients and also with their business peers. Although
Yeah,
you can't foresee every conversation that might take place, when you're first interacting and networking with people, having that positive but direct conversation of, hey, I'm looking for this, and that. And if there's anything that I am able to do, I will most definitely do it. If it's not something that I'm able to do and I can think of someone that could do it, I'll make sure to send them your way. That's always how I am. And even if
yeah,
we can't find something to do or partner in this moment, we can still stay connected because down the line, who knows, we might have something that really makes sense. Having that conversation, I've said that, but doing that consistently every single time you start a new relationship with a business professional or even a client, having those conversations in the early stages so that later on in your relationship it's not becoming rocky. because that kind of communication didn't take place, or because you saying no was something that you're uncomfortable with, and y'all haven't had that dialogue yet, I think it's also a really great idea too. So
Definitely.
that just popped up. But okay, so now that we've shared our ways to say no professionally, we've talked about how you can say no in a personal relationship. Let's go ahead and move into some solutions that we're providing. So I wanted us both to just share some confidence boosting services or solutions, and then maybe one top seller. So you can give us something that you think would help people with boosting their confidence as they prepare to communicate better, stronger, and make it clear what they need, and then share one of your top selling services or products.
Um, One confidence boosting service. Ooh, kind of threw me off with that one. uh, I would say one confidence boosting service that I would recommend to someone is getting a scheduler or a calendar. Um, it's not something that I personally do myself, but you can definitely go find you a scheduler or a calendar, whether you are doing a physical calendar or an online calendar or a combination of the two. Your Google Calendar, if you use Google, Yahoo Calendar, Outlook Calendar, there's so many calendars that you can use, and just lean on what's within your availability. Now you can go find a calendar anywhere. You have one on your device that ring dings and sings. Um so the excuse of not having a physical calendar is not an excuse, because you have a digital one, a couple of digital ones. If you have, Gmail, you have a calendar. If you have your Apple, you have a calendar. You have different ways. So buy a planner, buy a calendar.
I think that's a great tip. And like you said, even you don't have to buy some of them. Some of them are just free. And there's nothing like going into your day knowing exactly what you plan to do, who you're speaking with, and having that all aligned. So I agree. I think that's great.
Yeah.
The confidence boosting resource that I'm going to provide is going to be our interview opportunity. So basically, just putting yourself out there, getting in front of a new platform. It can be a little, um, nerve wracking in the beginning if it's something new that you haven't done. But once you start to do it, it's almost like an adrenaline rush. And then you're just like almost addicted to putting yourself out there, stepping out on your comfort zone, speaking to other people. You good over there? Look, Gary, you
Get my
good?
eye. There's something
Oh,
falling in my eye. I'm good.
I was like, is she good?
I'm
But
good. I'm good.
a lot of times we just we need that kickstart. And so my interview opportunity is a free interview. It's $0 to apply, and if you're approved, it's $0 to be interviewed. And even if you're not a member of our directory, you can still apply to be interviewed on the show. If you are a member of the directory, it is unlimited to you. But put yourself out there. The more you do it, the more comfortable you become. And this is a perfect example because I just had someone compliment me today. I was going live, and they complimented me and they asked me, was I reading from a script? And I'm like, no, I'm not reading from a script. This is just straight off the top of my head, because I've had these conversations so many times. I've gone in, I've discussed it on live videos, I've talked with other professionals, I've done interviews. So the more you do it, it just becomes like natural for you. And it does help you with boosting your confidence. So I'm not saying that I won't ever be nervous, because even when I do stuff that I've been doing for a very long time, sometimes naturally my nervous system, I just get a little jittery, I get a little excited, or I'm starting to feel like, ooh, a little adrenaline. So
Hmm.
it's not to say that it won't happen, but the more you do it, the more that feeling becomes normal for you, and you're able to continue to put yourself out of your comfort zone. I started with a live, and then I moved to podcasting and doing audios and writing and blogging. And I recently just did an in-person event where I actually spoke at the event. And so being able to do something like that in an audience or in a room full of 20 plus people, some people coming and attending mine and other people there at the location with the microphone and everything, like these are all things that it's like, ooh, this is something that, might make you a little nervous the first time, but it
Hmm.
all started with putting myself out there. And
Right.
so my interview is my resource that I'm going to share. And you can get that by going to bossbabeblog.com, clicking on the Boss Babe Lounge. and then click on resources, and it will say interview, and you can go apply to be interviewed there for $0. So that's mine. What about you, MJ? What is one of your top sellers that you have right now that you would like to share with everyone?
Oh, from just one or from both
No, you
businesses?
can do from both businesses.
Okay, so top seller from MJC's and custom designs is definitely the custom work. Um, a lot of people love seeing their visions come to life on a t-shirt, whether it's a short sleeve, a long sleeve, a hoodie, or a crew neck.
Mhm.
Um, so that would be the top seller there. The prices do vary depending on which item you are getting. Starts at $25 for the short sleeve and goes up to $45 for the hoodie. Prices are subject to change. Um, for travel with MJ, this year it has, I think it's a tie between the cruise requests and the international requests.
Mm.
Um, there's a tie. There's some people who want to get out on the water, and there's some people who want to use their passports, baby. Let's go. I'm with you all the way. Um, again, those two vary. They start at $30 for up to four people and go up to $120 for a group of, I think the max on that is 15. Again, price is subject to change. But a lot of people are enjoying not having to do the planning of their own trip. A lot of people are getting overwhelmed by the planning of their own trip and
Mhm.
want to take it off of their hands and put it into somebody who can handle it, without any excuse me, without
Mhm.
any stress, without any problems, with very minor issues, because some things that are just out of my control. But from the things that I can control, everything has been smooth sailing. And that's what we're here for. We're here to assist and take that stress off of your hands so that you are able to continue living your life. And I work on the back end to make sure you have your dream vacation.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Um, Let me see. So for my business, if I'm going to do I'll do Boss Babe blog first. So right now, the top seller is a luxurious membership because I actually have a special offer going on. Um, where you can receive. So I had a special offer. We were able to get quite a few members, new members to the community, to the directory. And so now I'm doing another special offer for 10 more business professionals. And the reason why this is a top seller is because it's a 4-year advertising contract. So I've had members who are already members of the directory renew. I've had members, yes, MJ being one of them. I've had people who are not in the directory, who weren't in the directory, sign up and become a member. And so the reason why it's a top seller right now, I know, yay, yay. I'm super excited about all of the new people in our directory. But it's a top seller right now because it's a 4-year advertising contract. So there's a lot of places where, just to be able to get your brand advertised for a couple of months, it is extremely expensive. And I understand why, because the work that goes behind marketing, advertising is a lot of work.
Hmm.
Yes, it is a lot. However, we're going to be providing quite a few services for the price of $99.99, and you would pay a $30 cost up front, and then after 30 days of being a member, you pay $69.99. So basically, you're getting some extra time to pay the rest. And once you finish paying that off, you are officially a 4-year member of Boss Babe Blog. And what that means is that you'll be listed and advertised in our directory for the next 4 years, and you do not have to renew your membership every single year. And so you would be listed in our blog. We would interview you. You would get features. We place you on the magazine. All luxurious members will have one magazine page dedicated to themselves in our next magazine copy. Yes.
Oh.
Already working on behind the scenes. As y'all know, I'm going to slay with the visuals. Here's an example of some of my visuals you can see behind me. But I love graphic design. I love making things bright, fun, and attractive. So every luxurious member will have a page dedicated to them. It'll be about their business. It'll be something that I'm highlighting that I appreciate or enjoy. And then it'll be contact information for people to just go shop with them. So there's a lot of features that come with being a luxurious member. And this specific membership package is a business to business luxurious member, meaning that you're able to come on and promote business to business products or services, as well as if you're wanting to be a coach, mentor, and you would like to advertise that on the directory in your industry, you're able to do that as well. So very excited. That is the top seller right now for bossbabeblog.com. And if you want it, you can go to the website, go to the contact us page, fill out your information, and then put special offer, and then you'll get an invoice sent to you. For my beauty coach right now, um, we have two categories. We have the self-care category, and then we have the self-investment. So in the self-care category, my top seller is the serums right now, the pre-ordered serums, specifically the watermelon serum. So we have watermelon moisturizing and we have cucumber. Some people are buying both, but the watermelon, I would say, the top seller right now. And it's pre-ordered, so I order the ingredients, I make them fresh, and then ship them out to you. And then on the self-investment side of things, I would have to say the branding experience is the top seller, because I've had a lot of returning clients coming back and purchasing services like business cards, business flyers, business design, packaging design, so many different things. So that's the top seller right now. And some new people are joining, but I'm also having clients who are realizing, hey, I can just go back and get this service if I need that. So it's been pretty good. And you can use coupon code KeTohn, all caps, KETOHN, if you would like 35% off. And if you are a part of some of our exclusive communities, you may have an exclusive promo that you can use when you're purchasing this branding experience. So there you have it. Those are mine. Thank you, MJ, for sharing yours. And thank you for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Happy to be here.
And thank you, everyone, for listening. If you have any thoughts that you would like to share, feel free to drop them in the comments and continue listening to our podcast as we will be continuing to discuss self-care, self-prioritization, and elevating our professionalism and the overall small business experience. Thank you so much, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.